Hello.
Hello bwana Bitok.
Jambo.
Mambo namna gani?
Salama sana. Nazungumza na nani?
Mimi naitwa Maina Wanjoki kutoka New Jersey.
Oh, Maina Wanjoki from New Jersey. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Salama sana boss. Niambie.
Sina maneno, naweza kuchangia kidogo kwa kipindi.
Tafadhali.
Mimi ningependa tu kuongea juu ya hii mambo ya
umepotea sana bwana. Ulikuwa umeenda wapi? Mara mwisho nilikuwa ni mwaka jana.
Ni majukumu ndugu yangu, lakini sina ubaya. Unajua sasa hii maneno ya Amerika sio kama Kenya bwana. Amerika hapa inatisha wanaume.
Hata nilifikiria uliama.
Unajua sasa kazi, familia, kujaribu kubalance kila kitu. Kama mimi sasa huwa nafanya biashara.
Okay.
Mimi niko na biashara yangu. Na sasa kujaribu kubalance hiyo na hii corona na nini,
sasa inakongo kidogo.
Inataka bidii kiasi, but iko tu sawa, kila kitu iko sawa. Huwa nakufuatilia mara kwa mara nikipata nafasi, but nashukuru.
Haya, niambie dadi.
Mimi ningependa kusema hebu turudi nyuma kidogo. Mimi ningependa tu kuuliza, turudi nyuma kidogo. Unajua kuna mahali penye sisi tumedanganywa hapa bwana Bitoko. How waliweza kubadilisha the narrative ambayo iko saa hizi mpaka tuingie BBI, kwa sababu tumeingia kwa hii BBI kimtego. Wakati tulianza kutoka mwanzo, ilikuwa ni kwanza tuanze tear gas na Monday na whatever date it was. So baada ya hiyo kwa kwamba nchi haiwezi kurun vizuri, wakasema wafanye handshake. Handshake ilikuwa ni ya kutuliza nchi, watu wapate amani. Lakini sasa hapo kuna mahali penye tulipigwa kama lightning kidogo, tukabadilishiwa narrative, ikabadilishwa ikakuwa kwamba sasa imekuja mpaka ikakuwa kama tunabadilisha katiba. Kwa sababu mambo yote ambayo yako kwa BBI iko kwa katiba. Kwa wale ambao wamesoma, iko kwa katiba. Na iko vizuri sana, imeelezewa vizuri sana kwa kila kipengele ambayo inahusu kwa BBI. So vile wametugeuzia mpaka ikakuwa kwamba tutaingia sasa mpaka tufike kwa BBI, that is a subject that people should really try and analyze and say, how did we get here?
Okay.
Kwa sababu kwa mfano, tuangalie kama hata tuseme ni mambo ya mgao wa wa serikali kuu kwa serikali
ya
serikali ndogo ambayo ni rasilimali. Wanasema ambayo ni 15%, inaanza na 15%, lakini hakuna capping. So hii tunaanza kuambiwa saa hizi ni mambo ya 35 na nini na hata hii 15 haipatikani. And then vile wamegeuza kusema lazima hivi na hivi. So watu wengine wanaenda kuumia kwa sababu kama ilikuwa issue ni election, watu wanapigana. Kwa sababu mimi ni analyst,
Yes.
Trained analyst. Lakini sasa mimi wanasema hivi, hebu let us look at it. Why do people fight? Kwa nini watu wanapigana? Na wamepigana mara ngapi na mara ngapi hawajapigana? Sababu ambao wamefanya wakapigana wakati wamepigana ni gani? Na sababu ambayo imefanya watu wakakosa kupigana wakati wamepigana ni gani? Na suluhisho ya hiyo ni gani? At that point. Kwa sababu hata tubadilishe hii katiba ni mpya 2010. Hata tubadilishe katiba, tuweke katiba, tubadilishe mara ngapi, if the fundamental issues are not dealt with, tutabadilisha hii mpaka ifanane na Mararian. Sijui sijui kama utanielezea kwa ile lugha unaelewa. Utanielezea wananchi kwa ile lugha wanaelewa. Mpaka ifanane hivyo. Kwa sababu hatuja deal na issue. Ni kama vile mtu anaenda dukani, supermarket, kununua vitu ya kukula kama ako na njaa. Utanunua vitu ambayo haufai mpaka ukifika nyumbani wakati umeshiba ujiulize what went through, nini ilinifanyikia nikanunua hizi vitu. So turudi hapa kwa maneno ya katiba na nini. So mimi nauliza tu kwamba what is the issue that tunaweza taka kuangalia, kwa sababu hata saa hizi it's still contention hapa kusema nani anatakiwa kuselect watu ambao wanakaa kwa IEBC. Those are some of the fundamental. Na kukosa kuamini the system. Kama sisi hapa, kwa mfano hapa Amerika, tuliona sitting president ambaye alikuwa ako na issues na the system, but the system was watertight in that hata angesema kufanya nini ama nini, tuseme tu ni kesi bado ambayo iko kotini, but system ilikuwa ni kwamba hakuna ambaye hata kama wewe uko na powers kiasi gani huwezi kugeuza mambo ambayo yamekuwa yametengenezwa na njia fulani ambayo huwezi ukadanganyana. Kwa sababu kwa mfano na hata ndio mimi napenda, unajua Moi mimi alikuwa MP wangu kwa muda mrefu sana, na ndio mimi napenda vile alifanya, kwa sababu kulikuwa kuko na counters. Wewe anakupatia kazi ya kucheck, lakini anaweka wengine wa kucheck in that order, in that hakuna ambaye ana drop ball in between hapa.
Mwenye anacheka kuna mwenye anamcheka.
Exactly. So hiyo inaweza kuangalia ni nani ataangusha mpira, nani atatuletea shida.
Okay.
In that way. But kusema tutabadilisha katiba, sasa angalia kina Kang'ata, sijui ni Mwaura, sijui ni nani. Mimi nakwambia kweli bwana Bitok, it is very painful and I'm sorry to take time kwa sababu ile serikali ambayo tuliimba kabisa, sio maombi. Sio
uchawi, ni maombi.
Tukaimba, tukalia, tukaomba, wamama wakalia, wakalia, wazee wakalia, wakiangalia, machozi inatiririka, watu wakiangalia kweli hawa watu walikuwa wamepelekwa ICC, wamekuja wakakuwa viongozi na wakatuunganisha vizuri. Leo hii imekuaje were? Pole, yani mimi imekuaje vile inakuwa hivi kweli? Why are we burning our own house?
Yeah.
Why are we burning our own house that we built? Na hii nyumba ya Jubilee hatukujenga kwa pesa. Hatukujenga kwa sababu mtu alipatiwa pesa ama nini. Watu waliweka kwa imani yao, kwa mapenzi yao na emotions zao ambao waliweka kwa kujua kwamba that is it. This is the bridge that we've been looking for.
Okay.
Then what has happened now? Back to you.
Asante ndugu yangu. Thank you so much my brother. Have a good day. Have a good evening. We really appreciate it. Usipote sana.
Niko bwana Bitok. Mimi niko hapa na sasa tutakuwa tunawasiliana kwa muda.
Asante, nasalimia watu wa New Jersey.
Asante.
Thank you. We dropped Arama. Arama aliponyoka walaini kidogo. Acha tumalizie mambo yake alafu tuende topic yetu tukiendelea kufunga. Arama. Hello Arama.
Hey.
Pole ulianguka, haya basi maliza mawazo yako alafu tujue itakuwaje.
Nilirealize naongea peke yangu bwana, nikajaribu kutafuta daktari aniangalie, maybe the brain went away.
Pole sana. Kumbe watu wa New Jersey bana iko na system. Watu wa New Jersey deep state.
Ama ni Muchendu ameongea na rafiki yake kwa communication akanitoa.
Wewe sijua. Haya basi tuambie mawazo yako.
So I don't know Martin ilikuwa dropped, lakini anyway, let me just be very brief. When it comes to leadership, sasa unajua jamaa ameongea before mimi, ameongea Kiswahili, hata nimeanza kuona aibu. Najaribu kuongea Kiswahili pia, lakini I'm used to English all the time.
Hebu na Dongereza yako unajua.
Yeah, okay. When it comes to leadership, I was giving an example of Britain. The PM of Britain alipo disagree na cabinet officials, they resigned. So let us be orderly in our duties. If you come to a position where you disagree, and if you mess up, do the honorable thing and just resign. Okay. You are not losing anything. In fact, you are maintaining your dignity, and we should show good leadership. These people are people who are learned. They have traveled outside the country. They have seen how other countries operate, how leadership operates. One of the things that is amazing is Bitok. Let me give you an example. Look at the Chancellor of Angela Merkel for Germany. This lady has been in office for years.
Okay.
But Bitok, do you know she still lives in the same apartment with her husband? Hana maid, hana driver. She goes, akienda dukani uchumi ya huko kwao, anaenda yeye peke yake, anasukuma ile kati ya kushop peke yake. There is no watu wa kumsaidia ati ako na shamba boy, cook, nothing like that.
Okay.
Anyway, we have not reached that level, but at least can we start moving to a level whereby we become accountable to what we are doing each and every day.
Okay.
If you disagree in office, resign. If he's a cabinet secretary who has messed up, like some of them who have done so far, they are not effective in their job, you need to resign. If not, the president or the appointing an authority need to ask for the resignation. They need to go.
Okay.
So that we can move our country forward in a manner that will bring, unajua hii cohesion tunalia, umoja tunalia. Umoja haitakuja as long as Mtu anaenda anaiba pesa, akishikwa sisi ndio tunakimbia tunalia mtu wetu. Ama saa zingine anaiba, mtu anaangalia kando, when he disagrees with the powers to be, ndio file inafunguliwa DCI, wanakumbuka ulikuwa na file ya 20 years ago, then they open up the file for you.
Okay.
So until we get to that place where we are accountable for what we are doing, everybody, including us kama mwananchi. Ukiona mtu anafanya makosa, report him, and then the police needs to take the proper action, and everybody follows the law. I like the music we had to play on the beginning of the show.
Sharia.
That is what is going to save our country. As long as this is what tunafuata sheria, hata kama ni political party constitution, our own laws in the country, constitution and the laws in the country, as long as we follow that, then we will become a better country. As long as hatufuati hiyo, tutapiga kelele bitok, tutafanya everything, we will never go anywhere. We will still remain the same year in, year out. 20 years from now, our kids, 40 years from now, they will be talking the same thing.
Okay.
Until we start following the law.
Asante sana Rama. Thank you so much, bro. I hope to see you tomorrow on the Diaspora edition.
All right. Thank you.
Salimia watu wa Diaspora. Nashukuru sana kusikiza. Haya, quickly tukifunga nao tumepitisha masaa na dakika 7. Mheshimiwa KK. Jana kulikuwa na mambo pale Kiambu kati ya naibu wa rais na waziri Munya. Kama waziri Munya alikuja akasoma ripoti taarifa ya rais, picha ya rais, and there was a scuffle at the barrio, and people have been arguing. There seems now there's a debate of impeaching the deputy president that is running at the moment. People have actually complained that the DP is being disrespected within government. I don't know how true that is, but now I want to combine these two questions on the issue that happened yesterday in Kiambu, the scuffle. And is it real? Can the deputy president be impeached, and why?
Yes, there is a constitutional procedure that's given for the impeachment of the deputy president. On the question of whether those reasons can be called out and evidence provided that actually he has been in subordination, that all those that he's been accused of is neither here nor there, and on whether we would achieve two-thirds majority to be able to impeach the deputy president, I think it's a very long call. It's a very long call to make, and it will require a lot of thinking and strategy and all that. Because remember, these two-thirds is not just voting, but two-thirds must be present, must be seated at the floor of the House during that particular debate. And it's very difficult, to be honest, to get to that, to be present at the floor of the House. So it's a very long call to make. And again, what will be the political repercussions of that? Because I think, in my view, impeaching the deputy president will be giving him an express ticket to State House in 2022. Because now he will have all the right to speak as the leader of opposition, considering that Raila is allegedly is more supporting government agenda than he's opposing it, and so I think it will not be a politically smart move. Impeaching the deputy president now will not be punishing him. In fact, it will be rewarding him. It will be giving him the sympathy from the country, to give him a chance to really focus on really cases in the government. And he will not be held to account for the failures of Jubilee. Otherwise, now he will write on, these are things what you would have done had they not impeached me. And so I do not think that actually that is possible. I don't think it's also in the best interest of this country, because fine, you impeach the deputy president, so what happens? Then you have to appoint another deputy president, and let's go through all that. I don't think that we just have a few months to election. My personal view is tuvumiliane hadi uchaguzi kuja, and then we have a new government. What is happening to a political class is very embarrassing, and these are moments that I get really embarrassed and ashamed to be a politician, to be a member of parliament. And these are many cases I understand why people hate politicians, because the message out there is people hate politicians. Because we first saw it at the funeral of the mother to the deputy governor for Mr. Maangi. And we found not high-end goons now, not political supporters, but elected members of parliament exchanging blows in front of the remains of the late mother, in front of a mourning family, in front of a mourning people, in front of cameras, live on cameras through the country. It was very, very embarrassing. And before then, we had now the embarrassment again at Bama Market, where it was the deputy president trying to address people, and then people don't want to listen, as in it was chaotic. Then followed Githurai chaos. Then after Githurai, now followed the scuffle at the funeral in Kisii, and now the funeral at Kiambu. The Honorable Jango Wainaina, the member of parliament for Thika Town, had said he does not want political talks at his mother's funeral, because this is the time to mourn, you know. Yes, Honorable Jango is a politician, but the mother is not. And the rest of the family members are not politicians. So now what happens? People do not remember the great lady that died. People do not remember the mourning family. Now what people are remembering now
is the politics.
Is the politics of it. And I think we must stop. We must desist. And this is Kenyans must say no to politics in funerals. It's unfortunate, during when Jubilee was Jubilee, we used to accuse ODM and Raila of doing
politics and barriers.
And it was like, hiyo tu mganga kitu anajua tu ni kupiga siasa kwa mazishi. Hakuna kitu kingine anajua. Now, only for us to do exactly the same. And it doesn't matter which side you're looking at it. Whether it is people who had mobilized people to cheer someone on.
Is it because maybe they're all in the same house today? Maybe they have no exchange character.
Now, it seems so. But it's really unfortunate, and we must call it as it is. It is embarrassing, it is wrong, and it must stop. On the issue of the condolence message being read by Munya, one, the president has the right to send whoever he wishes. He can send me to represent him, whatever. He could even send you that there's a function, whatever, and then you go pass my condolence message or pass this message. So the question of who the president sends should not actually be there. And for this, I must really applaud the deputy president. He stood up and read his speech, and against protocol, because ordinarily it should be the minister speaking, then inviting the president. That was what protocol would. But then the deputy president in humility invites Munya to come and pass his condolence message. And there is nothing wrong with that. But now the political mindset of our people is everything is politics. And everything, if I don't agree with it, then I must air my grievances. I must do something that is insulting. I must do something that is embarrassing. Lazima nifanye kitu. So kwa sababu sasa hiyo barua imesomwa na Munya na mimi niko nataka isomwe na Ruto. Sasa lazima nipige kelele, lazima nitoke ndio nionyeshane whatever you want to show. And this is very unfortunate. And if you're not careful, we are more than 1.5 years to the next general election. And if these political temperatures are being seen like this now in 2021, so a 207, 208 is likely to repeat itself. And this time around, it's going to be way worse than 2007. Because remember, we knew the hotbed of violence those times. We knew it would be Kibera, it would be Kisumu, it would be, we knew those places. But this is happening in Thika Town, and this is predominantly where majority of those people could, apart from the invited guests, they could as well carry on the service in vernacular, in Kikuyu. And so if we have this violence among people of the same community, so what happens when you include ethnicity, you include class wars, you include all this, then what is going to happen? This country is going to burn down. So the leadership, the church, the clergy, the leaders of the Muslims community and Kenyans, especially local mwananchi, must say no to this nonsense.
Okay.
Mtu akikuja mazishi, at most wacha apeane rambi zake, alafu baada ya kupeana rambi mkutano uishe. We saw again what happened in a funeral in the MCA somewhere in Nyandarua, where my colleagues lands in a chopper, disrupts the entire funeral. Then go and now charge the crowd. You'd think it's a political rally. But the moment they're done speaking, again out in the chopper, and this has become the norm. We have turned funerals into political gatherings. And in fact, we're even wondering now what happens to these COVID guidelines that we continue talking about. Some people cannot hold a meeting for 20, 30 people. So as politicians, we're doing these funerals. We call it mobilizing. In the political language, it says mobilize. So may I mobilize my crowd, you mobilize yours, you mobilize yours, you mobilize yours, and the political supremacy is who gets to be clapped at the most, and who gets to be booed becomes the loser of that part. And this nonsense must restore. It's very embarrassing, especially when it's funerals. And I'm saying this because one of the reasons I vied on a Jubilee ticket was I was against the violence that I was seeing in ODM. I was against the campaigns in funerals that I was seeing in ODM. So now that is happening in my own political party, it's extremely embarrassing, and this must stop. We must respect the dead. We must respect mourning families. Last year, I buried my uncle, and he was very close to me. Because he was a daddy figure for me in my life. And he was a serving officer with the National Youth Service. And I deliberately did not invite my political class. And and this is what is weird. Now later, my constituents would ask me, it was such a funeral of your uncle. How did you come alone? Why we expected that you'll bring along your colleagues? And I said, I did not want to do that because the funeral, even the few leaders that came, would say, we want to pass the message of condolence to Mheshimiwa Kuria Kimani for losing his uncle. Speaker after speaker after speaker would say that. Then I sat there, and there is now the widow of my uncle. My uncle had a wife and 3 children. This uncle is a son to my grandfather and my grandmother. So yes, I'm feeling the loss, but who has the biggest loss?
The wife and the children.
And the children. And the person who has the second biggest loss is parents, because no parent want to bury their children. They would rather be buried by their children. But the message, even the people that came, tumekuja hapa kwa sababu ya mheshimiwa, tumekuja kupass condolence message. I was like, guys, it's not me who has died. It's not me. You should be condoling the wife and the children. And now as a result, even in that funeral, the message of condolence seemed to have, it is like it was Django who had died, or it is, And we forgot that he's not the only kid in that family. There are other siblings who felt the loss. There was probably the widow, probably, I don't know whether his dad is here or not. But now the message gets reduced to this politician, and it becomes a political event. And instead of focusing on the life, the services, the sacrifices, the success of that lady who has died, it's end up between a Jubilee, a Kieleweke, a UDA, TASO. This nonsense must stop.
All right. Mohamed.
Yes, the issue of impeaching the deputy president, I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it, because the guy impeaching is called Ayub Savula. How many members of parliament do they have in parliament? So I'm not going to waste my time on that.
Are you ridiculing
yes, I am. He should understand that even when you want a good PR, you should be very realistic. The issue of political violence in this country is something that it's because of our political hygiene. We have the politics of bad manners. Kenyans lack individual discipline, most of them, and administrative discipline. Most members of parliament are politicians, not leaders. Leaders behave in a certain way. They bring vision. They make sure people don't give up. They make sure Kenyans have hope. Kenyans are hope. They make sure they are within the people. They always help, the vulnerable. They bring innovative ideas. But when you have people who are earning close to 1 million shillings, they only get fattened all the time because they're working for Kenyans. And not all MPs. There are people I respect, who are top of the game. But majority of MPs in that parliament are people who we were told that they were paid 10,000 shillings in the women's toilet, remember? Given to them by another woman. That's the irony of it. You go to a women toilet, and then a woman gives you 10,000. And those are the guys making legislation. That's how we go. So what we need to do is, as a country, Kenyans have these issues because from the foundation of setting Kenyan democracy, Kenyatta did not build a country that would prosper, that is based on, the principles of good democracy, where we have competitive elections, political legal equality, high degree of individual freedom or civic liberties, where people will compete and then they will lose fairly. because the biggest or the first good process of having a leader is how you decide him. So what we have in Kenya is democracy by name, but the system decides who becomes a member of parliament, who becomes an MP, who becomes what in this country. There is very little places where you will go in Kenya where fairness is even within the central Kenya. If somebody wants to be employed and you call the governor and you my friend here maybe has a close, or I have a close relative and I want to employ him, I will walk to his office and tell him, Kubwa, this is my cousin, I want to employ him. I want you to employ him. He has the qualifications. Maybe he does not have the experience or the competence. And then there is a poor Kikuyu in Kiambu who has no godfather but very competent. That guy will be left out because he has no this godfather. It is the same with every county. The most people who are employed are people who know the system, most of them. But the issue of saying that the Kenyan political system is encouraging a lot of violence, because when you look at those gardens, those barazas, those morning, look at Kenya. Every time there is a public rally, you will see a mammoth crowd, which means people have nothing to do. If I have a job, then I will go to my job. If I am doing something, I would rather be there than go and listen to the crap of a politician. Because look at the youth. If Raila goes to Kibra, where he was a member of parliament, you will hear that people have come. Do they have jobs? If they did, will they come? No. So people come to these places because the foundation of this country is set from elitism, politics of personality, ethnic political parties, corruption that is entrenched, even in the presidency. Uhuru told us publicly that, I don't know what to do in State House. He told us that 2 billion is stolen every day. Parliamentarians currently are part of a branch of State House rather than being the legislature, which is an independent arm of government. Tell me today, Gerald, any member of parliament who can challenge Uhuru Kenyatta and tell him on his face, with due respect, Mr. President, you are wrong on this.
Right.
We can't do this.
Okay.
So, which means now the people, and then when you want to look at the leader, you look at the people who surround him. Why do you keep a CEC? You remember in Mombasa, the president was shouting at the transport minister in front of the contractors. It's embarrassing. The whole president. It shows you're powerless, you're helpless. Because you're either benefiting from the proceeds of corruption, wealth, or you're incompetent. Otherwise, how do you explain? Why is it that Kibaki made sure the shop is full? There was a picture going around in social media. I sell in cash and I sell in credit. Back in primary school, you remember those pictures in business. So Kibaki left us, the dollar was, I think, 76 from 80 something.
Okay.
And everything was thriving. Life was cheaper than this. Right now, the dollar is 105, 106. What does that mean? We have a lot of import. We do not produce toothpick in this country. You remember the health conference at KICC, I think the governor of Marsabit Isielo brought like 6 items, including baby wipes and sanitizers and toothpaste and all those things. We are consumer country because we are not investing in local innovation.
Okay.
Including sugar, rice, we import.
Okay.
So we need 17 months to election. Let the president make sure that he's not going to achieve much. He makes sure that he leaves Kenya that is intact.
That's peaceful.
Stop, yeah.
All right. Wachana hata na uchumi. Muchendu.
I first of all want to address the issue of what happened in Gatondo yesterday. And it is not an isolated case. It is probably a 4th or a 5th case that has happened in our political world of politics today. I know, and I am sure, 100% sure, that God forbid I was to lose someone and I plan a decent send-off for that particular person. I know for a fact, Gerard, I do not want to see such images in my own place. I know for let us not take political sides on this one. Forget which political side you are affiliated to. What has happened in Gatondo, what has happened in Kisii, it is pictures we do not want to see in such solemn ceremonies like a send-off of someone. Because Django, if you looked at the history of Mama Django and what that lady has done to get Patrick Wainaina to where he is today, it was important for Django to send the mother in a befitting send-off that do not have the political side shows. But then again, Mheshimiwa, I think it's also important for a member of parliament not to be used to cause havoc, because it was not in the place of Kanini Kega to invite the DP when the minister was seated there. That must be said categorically, that if you are looking at the hierarchy of power, if you are looking at the protocol that ought to be taken through, Kanini Kega ought to have invited the Minister for Agriculture. Despite the fact that the minister was reading the president's address, the president was not there in person, and the deputy president was there. Therefore, the minister was to come and read the president's address and then invite the DP to make his remark. That is the honest truth. That is what should happen. But you see, puppets of the state, like for lack of a better word, and I am not in any way disrespecting the member of parliament here, but puppets like Kanini Kega are some of the people who bring such shame into the burial of Mama Django. Because even the members of public, even before the minister spoke, even before the DP spoke, he had already sent a very wrong message to the congregants of that particular exercise. So therefore, as my brother here is saying, even our political hygiene must be seen, not only heard, they must be seen. Because when you as Kanini Kega goes ahead to invite the DP, and at this point I would say that the DP also did the honest thing. He had the opportunity of saying no. Waziri kwanza aongee. And you know, the minister also caused an uproar when he arrived late in the meeting and he demanded to sit next to the deputy president. So
the speech was the one which wanted to sit next to the deputy president, or what? Maybe the speech.
I cannot tell. Nonetheless, regardless of whatever protocols that were not taken care of, it did not warrant people to walk out.
Okay.
And I am ashamed, whoever the politician would be that would have organized people to walk out of a burial, you did not hurt the people who came to give the speech. You hurt the family that was believed. You hurt the family that was buried. And I don't see eye to eye with some of the people we do politics in Kiambu, but I have seen quite a number of them castigate this. And I say it in the strongest term possible, because tomorrow I don't want to see such an image in my own place, God forbid. You must also say no, whether you are inclined to the deputy president, whether you are inclined to the president, whether you are inclined to Prime Minister Raila Odinga or Amani Congress. We must not see this. We must see politicians behaving in a mature manner when you come to send-offs.
Honorably.
Because today, as he has said, people are not remembering that we were marrying a mama who has sacrificed to be able to get his kids where they are today. We are only remembering how people walked out of a burial. It may be a political celebration for someone today, and tomorrow it might happen to you, and it will leave you hurt. I saw the deputy governor of Kisii on the podium on the day they were burying the parent, begging people to sit down and stop politics. He almost cried at the voice, begging people to behave in the burial of a family member. It is very wrong. It is uncalled for. We must say no to this kind of political baggage. We must say no. It is actually making us... I had always detested what happened when we go to burials in Nyanza, because we have friends and we go there and we see what politicians do. Now, chicken has come home to roast.
Okay.
We must say no to this. Honestly, we must say no to this. Politicians must use other platforms.
Okay.
At least stop using barriers and churches to do this.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you so much, Muchendu. We are getting to a tail end. We are going to take the tackles of the day. Meanwhile, Raila Odinga in Nyanza, we have agreed with Duru. We are going to add the number of constituencies. Don't buy the propaganda that there is no additional constituency. There was a slight error in printing. Diwa Rachonya Bonda Netike constituencies will be added. Baba amesema kulikuwa na makosa kidogo.
I don't know whether the MP has seen what Baba told the people when he met them in Bodo. I'll send you the video. He is speaking in Nyanza. He is lying, looking at the light, the members of parliament and MCAs and leaders, and telling them that they have spoken with Uhuru. There was a typo in BBI, and as a matter of fact, I dare say, he has said, and it is being translated, and I got it from people who know what he was saying in Kijaruo. He telling them, we have agreed with Uhuru that we are going to add a number of constituencies. Don't buy the propaganda that there is no additional constituencies. There was a slight error in printing. Dhiwa, Rachuonyo, Bodo, and Nyatike constituencies will be added. These are the kind of people that are selling BBI to the public. You invite leaders of Nyanza, leaders who are elected the people, leaders who are expected to use their common sense to think. They are shouting when the Baba is saying there is a typo. When you know very well that that bill, as it is presented to the county assembly, you will either reject it in its entirety or pass it in its entirety. It is so unfortunate.
All right. Your tackle of the day, Mheshimiwa Kuria.
Give credit, and I'm saying this with a little bit of humor. When Baba tells you there's a typo, please know there is a typo. He told us there will be a referendum.
Oh my.
We've said no. A referendum it is. So if Baba says there's a typo,
there is a typo.
They say Baba tells you your wife or your girlfriend is pregnant, don't argue. Start buying pads. Hata kununua pads.
She's pregnant. Buy diapers.
So if he says there was a typo,
there was a typo.
And there are more constituencies going to Nyanza. It doesn't matter.
Typo. Na ameongea na His Excellency the President. Kataipingera kadogo.
Shida mahali kidogo.
Why are you mourning over it? The
All right, your tackle of the day, Mheshimiwa. Your tackle of the day.
One, there is also what I say has been lies behind the BBI bill as it is. If you look at the last page, it has a schedule of timelines in which the particular clauses in the BBI draft bill will be legislated into law. It doesn't mean that once we go through the referendum and pass as it is, that things are going to happen after that. First of all, the issue of additional constituencies is the mandate of the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. It's an IBC affair. So that means that, for example, in Nakuru County, we are supposed to get 5 constituencies, but where are those constituencies going to come from? You cannot say that itakuwa tu Molo ndio itakamu mara mbili ama inaivasha. That thing has to go through public participation. You have to look at the population. You have to look at all those things. Most of even the other matters that we're talking about women in legislation. They say is that Parliament will have some of the timelines is a year, some of the timelines are 2 years to pass a particular piece of legislation. Because remember, 10 years after passing the 2010 Constitution, we are still passing laws to implement that Constitution. And that's why part of the discussion about the 2/3, that's why Chief Justice Marage in his wisdom said Parliament must be dissolved because of failing to legislate on a clause that is in the Constitution, that no constitutional office holders should be more than 2/3 of the same gender. So BBI, and I'm talking to both my colleagues who are supporting it and those who are opposing it, it is not really a do or die. There is a schedule of when these pieces of legislation will be passed. So it does not necessarily mean that once we go to the referendum now, pop, everything begins to happen. We have new constituencies immediately. We have new members of parliament immediately. We have, all those things that we're saying and then BBI. It will take time. It will take time. And that's why the bill itself has timelines on when the particular pieces of legislation needs to be passed. So we must not treat it like it is something that we must swallow as it is, because even after passing it, there is going to be room for debate. And for information, for that bill to become law, it has to go through the first reading, go through the second reading, go through the third reading, go to the president for assent, and all these has to go through public participation. So us that are selling people, let's support it. Let us not try to treat it like it is the end of the world, whether we pass it or we fail it in the referendum. And those that are opposing it, let us not try to say that we cannot add or remove even a full stop to it. That is not correct.
Okay. All right. Your tackle of the day, Mohammed.
Well, for me, I said it before, BBI can't change the politics of bad manners in this country. One is that in 2022 is the year about Kenyans. We must reject mediocrity. We must reject impunity. Kenyans, 50 years after independence, 58 years after independence, we're still talking about people not getting food or clean water or access to health or education. It's because we take 50 bob, 100 bob, 500, 1,000 for the day and then vote for the person. Stop taking money from political class. I'm not saying every member of parliament pays money, but majority do. It has become a norm in Kenya that unless you have money, you cannot be a member of parliament. Money only buys houses, cars, suits, and you can marry the most beautiful women because you have big, pocket. But it does not create the quality of a person. It does not create a quality in terms of a person having values, in ideals, and principles. Our wordings should be our honor. We should make sure that even if we need to survive, we should work. Go to work. Hata kama wewe ni kuwa tandy boy, become something. Earn your money. Sweep the floor. We all grew from I come from Masabito. That is where I was born. My dad was born there. My grandfather was born there, 1907. Up to today, it does not have electricity because of failed leadership, because of embezzled resources, because of bad leadership. So for us to have a different Kenya, and I said it before, if you are below 45, you're looking at the future of your children. What kind of roads do they have? What kind of schools will they have? 2022 is the year about Kenyans to vote for who they want, who they know, who they think can make change. We have people who are principled. We have people who are educated. We have people who are learned, because going to school and being learned are the two things. If you are stealing from the public property, even if you have a PhD, you're just a crook and a thief. So education did not change you. Education should give you perspective so that you can judge what's wrong or right. So in 2022, my tackle would be, it's about us, not them.
Okay. All right. Muchendu, what's your tackle of the day?
As my brother has said, you can registrate so many things, but you cannot registrate good morals. Good morals must be within the fiber of that person given the responsibility to execute on behalf of the republic. So therefore, even as we registrate, even as we bring so many laws, we must also elect people of caliber, people of moral upright, so that they can be given the responsibility to discharge these particular laws we pass. So therefore, it is upon, and it is the honors of Wanjiku to actually take a step back and ask yourself what kind of leaders you elect. Today, we are talking about the lack of discipline in barrios and in churches. The people and the kind of leaders we have are a true reflection of the people we are today. They are actually a fraction of what we can do. So whatever they do, whether they misbehave or they don't, if they work well, they reflect those people who elected them. If they misbehave, they reflect against the people who elect them. And and as we come to another election in less than 2 years, we must ask ourselves as the members of the republic, that where is our moral fiber? Have we so degraded ourselves that we can seriously be walking out of barriers when people are burying their loved one? Where were you in the where were you there in the first place? Because if you ask me, I come from Central Kenya, and Mheshimiwa will tell you here that sisi kuzika mtu si kuenda hiyo ibada. Kuzika mtu ni kuacha mpaka mtu tumeweka mchanga na tumeweka kwa kaburi. Kwa hivyo kama wewe ulikuwa umekuja mazishi, ilikuwa muhimu kwamba ukae mpaka yule mama tumpumzize pahali alikuwa anaenda kupumzishwa. And if you came to the burial and walked out of it, you are showing us the kind of moral fiber or moral decay this republic is experiencing. And I think it is important, even as we talk about it, as we discuss politics in gatherings, as we discuss politics in churches, as we discuss politics in anywhere people have gathered, our leaders must now get back to being sane people, not behaving insane when they meet the members of the public. I'll tell you the problem that we are having. Today, we are having members who we elected to become our leaders, showing the disrespect in front of kids. Because I'll tell you, Mheshimiwa, in that particular burial, there were not only the kids who are wazees kama sisi kina Patrick. Their families were there, their children were there, their relatives were there who are young, who will be the leaders of tomorrow. They completely show a picture. They saw a picture of what is expected of them in future. That this is how they will behave. We must stop. We must pause. And we must ask ourselves, especially those of us who come from Mount Kenya. This has never been the norm in Mount Kenya for a very long time. It has never happened in Mount Kenya. And we must not allow politics to divide us. We must not allow readers to divide us as the Mount Kenya people. And at this point, as my parting shot, I want to say a very big shame on you, the Honorable Kanini Kega, for breaching that particular order of event and caused the walkout in Mama Jango's burial. It was very wrong. I also want to take this opportunity and categorically blame and say shame on you to any person who was involved in mobilizing people to walk out of that burial. It was not okay. It is wrong. It is uncalled for. That burial was not a political meeting. It was a solemn event where a certain member of parliament was laying to rest a mother, and the pictures you have left to us are the pictures of the heinous act of doing and allowing politics to take center stage in an event that was supposed to be characterized with peace, characterized with love, characterized with solidarity, and characterized with unity of purpose, as we lay a mama who has given us some of the good readers like Wainaina Jango. It is very wrong. So therefore, Kenyans must wake up and they must say no to this kind of politics. I saw Senator Mwaura the other day insulting a priest and saying the priest was given money. That was a church event. A church event. Who is in charge of a church event? It is the priest. The priest is supposed to allow you that leniency to speak. So therefore, leaders in Mount Kenya must stop this nonsense of taking dirty politics in churches and in barrios. It is uncalled for.
Okay, all right. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in. It's always a pleasure to have you. Mheshimiwa KK, thank you for coming. I hope you utakuja tena zaidi, ukaribie. Utatuambia pia watu wa Molo wanasema nini, kama wanataka referendum ongezee constituency ama wanasema namna gani. Maybe next time we'll tell us what happens there and what goes on. Thank you so much, good guy from Mandera. Mohamed Abdullahi, thank you for coming in. It's always a pleasure. Muchendu, wewe ni mwenyeji hapa, asante kwa kuja. Nashukuru sana kukuona. The tacklers who have been with us all this time. time. We really appreciate you. Thank us for tuning in. Please continue sharing. Go to YouTube, Gerald Bitok, Twitter, #Dr. or at Gerald Bitok. You look for us. Continue sharing our content and like to share. Even as we leave, continue sharing the broadcast that we've had. And the good Lord will bless you. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye and take care. This is a tackle, and the tackle ends now. Bye-bye and take care. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye. See you.